Hey everybody, welcome back to Board and Savior. Today we are going to be talking about my 6 board gaming pet peeves. First of all, before I start talking about the pet peeves, I'm not in my usual space. It doesn't, I don't know if you care, but there's stuff on the table. I didn't feel like moving it, so I brought the camera out here because it's easier to set up a whole filming setup in a different room than it is to clear a board game off of a table sometimes. Everyone's been there. You get it. It happens. Now, let's get into the stuff that really grinds my gears. The stuff that gets my goat. The stuff that grumps me up. Yeah, I've got my phone here because I can't possibly remember 6 things. No one can. The first thing, and we're going to go kind of in order of how upset they make me. This first thing, I can live with this. I understand why it happens. I'm not asking it to change. I'm just saying this sucks. I don't enjoy this. This is asymmetric abilities that win the game that you couldn't know about. So this, I'm talking very specifically here about there are games like Star Wars Rebellion or Twilight Struggle or War of the Ring, where on your first or second or third playthrough, you might bump into a card that you didn't know about, that your opponent plays, that just wins them the game. I am thinking very particularly here about a card in Star Wars Rebellion that I just did not know existed. There's a card that lets the Imperial player deploy, send a bunch of troops to any one planet, ignoring movement restrictions, ignoring everything, and you can just drop 4 units on the planet, and the way that you win Star Wars Rebellion is by finding the rebel base. And I didn't know that card existed, and so a game that was set up to be a really tight, tense duel to the death turned into oh yeah, you win. That was a fun first 2 hours of the game. Would have been nice if it had been a little bit more climactic. And it's not on the other player. They just played it right. It's not even necessarily on the designer for putting that card in the game. It's just a bad feeling to lose a game when you're yeah, I didn't know that card was there, so I didn't play around it because I didn't know it was there. It doesn't feel good. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm talking about. Any games with asymmetric abilities where it's hidden information what the asymmetric abilities are, and it is so impactful to the game that with a single reveal of one of those abilities, you have won or lost the game. Yeah, that's what I'm saying for my first pet peeve. It's this is a gentle pet peeve where I'm it doesn't feel great, but I'm not asking you to change it. It just results in earlier plays of a game potentially being a little disappointing. So there you go. Hope you can relate to that one. Comment down below. Has that ever happened to you? Let's find. Yeah, I would say this one is next up in terms of upsetness. This is called lid lift post punch. I hope I've got a good pop filter on this mic because I'm popping the peas over here. Lid lift post punch. When you buy a game, everything fits within the confines of the box. Easy peasy. When the plastic wrap is around it, the box is the size that it is. In some cases, after you have punched out all the cardboard, you've put everything where it goes in the box. And this is somewhat rare. Sometimes just doing the act of punching stuff out means that the game box no longer sits flush. No more flushing the toilet here. You just gotta pile it up and jam it down with a plunger. And that's yucky. That's yucky. I am right now thinking about Arc Nova, which is a game that I love very much, that has organizers that do not fit all of the pieces that you punch out of the cardboard. And because the organizers don't fit the pieces, when you put the tops of the organizers on, the little plastic thingy that you put it on, first of all, it doesn't snap on because it doesn't fit. Second of all, when you put the game board on top of that and then the rule books, there's a little lid lift because you punched everything out and you put it in the provided organizers, and the organizer said, "Oh, oops, we didn't think about that. My bad. That's too bad for you. You made the organizers. You knew the pieces that you had in your game, and you didn't make the organizers to fit the pieces." I guess this is like, I'm going to grandfather in another complaint that I have that's related, which is the organizer thing. When it's a rarity. Usually organizers are pretty smartly made nowadays, but every once in a while you bump into an organizer where you're like, what the hell is this section for? This doesn't fit the piece that feels like it should go here. It's a weird little thing. We've mostly gotten past it, but Ark Nova is a recent game that does not address this glaring issue, this horrible, horrible problem in board gaming. Oh, no. All right. Now we're going to go on to number 4, counting down. Ooh, which one of these is... Yeah, we'll say this one next. Okay. We have every game gets a playmat. This is a symptom of the Kickstarter boom, as you might call it. Every board game publisher, it seems like nowadays, says, hey, we would like to pre-make all of the money for the game that we have made. In the past, usually it's like, here's the product. Do you want it? Give us money if you want it, and then you get the product. Nowadays, it's backwards. It's like, if you want this product, give us the money in order for us to know if we should make the product or not. And it's just like a pre-order system. Like video games have been doing the pre-order system. Now board games are doing the pre-order system. It's a little inconvenient. You gotta wait for your games. You get a lot of extra goodies along with it, but that's also kind of annoying because then they'll like sometimes still bring the games to retail, and then you play the game and you like it, and you're like, ooh, I want more. The extra goodies were just Kickstarter exclusives. Now you can't get them. That's not my complaint, although that is annoying. My complaint is the playmats, because I'm sorry, man, not every game needs a playmat. In fact, I would argue that it's relatively few board games that need a playmat. Typically, a regular cardboard board does the job just fine. It's not a problem. I recognize that the playmat makes a card 10%, 15% easier to pick up off of the board, but I don't know how often I'm feeling like I can't pick up this card from the board. My issue is usually picking up cards from the table. Usually a board is not so large that it's extending over to your play area and you're playing the cards in front of you onto the board. Like, you know what I'm saying? Boards are usually used to house cardboard tokens and miniatures and things of that nature. There are some board games that have cards placed onto the boards themselves, but I think that is somewhat a rarity, and yet we see in Kickstarter after Kickstarter, one of the exclusives or one of the add-on things that you can buy is a playmat for the game. And early on in my Kickstarter experience, before I was so experienced in giving companies hundreds of dollars for a game that I haven't played yet, they suckered me in, and I bought a couple playmats, and then you just have an inconvenient thing that you have to store because it is rare for the playmat to fit inside of the box because you got to roll it up, and then that's annoying. Here's a little credit where credit is due. This was Kickstarted, but I didn't get it on Kickstarter. They sent it to me because I'm a big board game YouTuber. Hoplomachus, however you want to say it, their box is designed such that the playmat fits inside of the box, and it is not like an optional game board piece. It's like the board of the game is this playmat. You can't get a cardboard board because Chip Theory Games is crazy and they like neoprene and plastic tokens, and they're nuts. They're nuts over there, but I love them for it. So credit where credit's due. Some game publishers do think about the storage of the playmat within the box. Now, Hoplomachus, however you want to say it, Those boxes are pretty long. Their butts hang off the back of the Kallaxes. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. But that's not what we're pet peeving about. We're pet peeving about the play mats in general. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. How do you feel about play mats, huh? There's someone walking outside. They're going to kill me. No, that's just paranoia. Don't even worry about it. How many do I have left? 1, 2, 3. Sick. Okay, next one is definitely this. This is a pet peeve that I am calling the map tile jumble. You know what I'm talking about. I think I've talked about this before because it bothers me. So you've got Imperial Assault. You have Cthulhu Death May Die. You have other games that do the Gloomhaven, like original Gloomhaven, not Jaws of the Lion. These games have a whole bunch of cardboard tokens, cardboard tiles that you have to assemble into different maps for any of the myriad scenarios that you can play of those games. Like you're playing scenario 15 of Gloomhaven and they're like, you need map tile 17A and 13B and 11A again, and 2 copies of 22C. Now, what's the problem with this? Well, when these map tiles are all varying sizes, as they are in the games that I've mentioned, not true in Undaunted, where all of the map tiles are square. When they are square, you can alphabetize them or numeralize them, depending on what the organizational system is. You can just put them in order, 1 to 25, whatever it is in Undaunted. And then when you need to find 14, you just look through the first 14 and you see, okay, this one is 14 because it's in order and it's easy to find. Gloomhaven, Imperial Assault, whatever the other one was, Cthulhu Death May Die. All of these map tiles are of varying sizes and shapes, and so that makes it very hard to put them in a proper order and to understand and know quickly where you need to be looking for the tile that you are trying to find. And that then makes setup quite a bear, a beast, if you will. And I don't like that. It's annoying. And Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion kind of figured it out with a map book where you just open up a spiral notebook to the page of the scenario that you want to play, and there is a map in the book. So the only setup required is the ability to open up a book, and just about everybody can handle that. I would say Imperial Assault, Cthulhu Death May Die, original Gloomhaven, it adds like a good 10 minutes to set up to make the map. And there are some days where that's a nice little activity. There's kind of a puzzle nature to it, you know, like a jigsaw situation. Not the guy from Saw, a nice jigsaw where you're making like a puzzle that looks like a beach scene, except it's a map of a place where it's a crypt where guys want to stab you. It's just like when you're not in the mood for that, when you want to play Gloomhaven, but you're not in the mood for a jigsaw puzzle at the outset, it's annoying. It's annoying, it bothers me, and you got Undaunted doing it right, you got Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion doing it right, so figure out a different way. Please, I beg of you. The same guy who walked by the first time is walking by again. I think he's coming after me. Now we're on to number 2. We're getting to the good stuff now. All the rest was garbage, and I'm so sorry you had to hear it. Oh boy, which of these is worse? I think I know which one I'm going to save to the end. This one is really personal. This is a personal pet peeve. This is victory point tracks without a 0. I know. I said it, and you moaned in agony. Not in ecstasy. Not this time. Come back for a different video for that. Victory point tracks without a 0. Games that ask you, and I'm going to maybe broaden this out to generally games that have a board that has a space for so many things, but not for everything. When they're like, here's the victory point track that goes around the outside, put your score counters next to the game board to start with. They don't go on the game board until someone has gotten a point, because we didn't put a 0 on the track. Guys, What are you doing? It looks bad. I like setting up my game and everything has its place, and the place of some of the pieces is just off to the side of the board until the game starts and someone has scored a point, and then they actually get to put their thing on the board. That's so stupid. Put a 0 on there. Or in a game where you have like some spaces on the board for cards, like the deck of cards. This deck of cards goes here. This deck of cards goes next to the board. What? Come on, do better. What are you doing to me? I remember, I think Spirit Island, like base Spirit Island, there are a couple of those things that they don't have a spot on the board for them. And then you have to like buy an expansion that's a board to have spaces to put all your things. What are you doing? I think they didn't realize that was true at the outset, and there are a couple like decks of cards that are added in expansions, but like I gotta buy an expansion to get a new board. What are you doing? Yeah, so victory point tracks without a 0, but more generally, any game that requires you to have an annoying amount of things off to the side of the board when you're like, make the board 5% bigger and let me put the thing on the board, please. It looks cleaner, it looks nicer, I'll smile when I see it, please. And finally, oh man, yeah, this one sucks. Rulebooks without any sort of reference on the back. Yeah, I know. It's a nightmare. We're all thinking of the same thing. You all remember my review of Monumental. Monumental is, I think, the worst example of this, where they used the back of the rulebook to advertise a different game, as opposed to having a helpful reference of the actions that you can take. In different games, you might want like a keyword reference, something like that. Maybe even a helpful index or a glossary of certain terms. All of these things would be lovely on the back of a rulebook, and yet oftentimes you will see artwork on the back of a rulebook or an advertisement for another game, which is a crazy, crazy move. And I think, again, if we broaden this one out a little bit, this is games that don't have reference in general, either on the back of the rule book or in the form of little reference cards that you can hand out to players. Of course, I think famously, Kemet, the original version of that, there was a very helpful little reference booklet that discussed all of the power tiles in the game. Additionally, in original Kemet, they were called white power, blue power, red power tiles. White power, obviously, is the problematic of those names. And then in the updated version, they called them, I think, diamond power tiles. And they're like, all right, that's fine. We can call it that. But they only had one little booklet of all the power tiles, and obviously you just have to like pass that around the table so everyone could read it. In Kemet Blood and Sand, thank goodness they included a booklet per player. You need to do that. That is just a necessity. So, reference in general, my specific complaint here is with the lack of the back of the rulebook. That is now just such a staple. And so when kind of a modern game comes out that doesn't have that, you're like, brother, what are you doing? You're being so silly, and you should be shot in the street. Sorry, just one man's opinion. Those are my complaints. Those are my pet peeveses. Peeves and butthead, if you will. And you will. I know. Which pet peeves do you have that I did not mention on this list? I have thought somewhat long, somewhat hard, but I'm sure that there are things that you will say, and I will go, oh, I wish I would have said that. Yeah, it's annoying when, like, you don't get all the pieces in your game. When you open up your game and you do like a little inventory and you're like, oh, stuff's missing. And you gotta wait until someone sends those things to you. I recently got Earthborn Rangers, and an entire deck of cards was missing. Told them about it a month ago, and they're like, yeah, it's on the way. It's coming. I want to play the game that I bought. I can't do it until I get the cards. They're still on the way. Hope those come in somewhat soon. Love to play it. So yeah, what are your pet peeves? Please let me know in the comments down below. Please also, I'm imploring you, I'm begging you here, like this video. I need it. I need to see that number go up. Please subscribe to this channel. We crossed over 5,000, but I need more. It's not enough. I'm begging you. Oh, and of course, if you really had just a grand old time, I have a Ko-Fi page, which is a place where you can give me actual money. All the other things are like digital trinkets, your likes, your comments. Those are wonderful, and I would gladly accept them. But I mean, hey, if you want to give me money, that's how I exchange. I can get goods and services for that. Like I could pay my rent, or I could buy a board game. And so, as an option, if you wanted to, that'd be cool. It's in the link in the description. If you don't, it's fine. Like I'm not gonna come after you or anything. I don't even know where you live. Or do I? That's all for this video. I was on this chair. Oh man, this chair was really nice. I felt like super... I might have to do more videos out here. Super comfortable. Well, goodbye.